malt lager beyond an ordinary malt.
KFM Hot Gold that is supplied by Ban Cafe. Yes, I see John wants to say something. Ona wants to say something.
Yeah, I wanted to
everybody wants to
touch on the point that Angelo made. You'd used the term that Museveni has immense reciprocal leverage with the United States. I have to disagree with that. Militaristically, Uganda does have some leverage. There's a sort of codependency, particularly as it relates to Somalia. But I think the United States, as well as the West more broadly, is looking at Uganda and its economic situation with grave concern. And the United States, in deciding how to deal with countries, looks at things militaristically, but also what kind of economic opportunities are there. And with the kind of, if I could just finish what I'm saying, with the kind of, can I finish my point? With the kind of economic decay we've seen in this country, okay, the United States is deeply concerned and doesn't need Museveni in that kind of situation, and would prefer to have somebody who would be, John, what is my evidence? Look at the unemployment rate in this country, okay? Do I need to add more? Look at the deficits that this country is posting. So the point is, I think it's very simplistic. It's very simplistic to say, and it's exaggerating to say, that Museveni's regime has immense reciprocal leverage with the United States government. The question is, what are you smoking?
Angelo, I actually disagree with Angelo on the matter of immense reciprocal, whatever you call it.
Highly exaggerative.
Listen, I think he's in a weak position right now. I mean, it's been declining for a long time. I mean, look at his rating right now. It's at an all-time low. And it's
the Ugandan public.
Angela, you just have to go deeper into understanding how the U.S. operates overseas. They don't look at things just militaristically. There are other things that they consider.
This is a well-documented fact, actually, about U.S. foreign policy leaning towards more security concerns. You can count 1,000 studies. In fact, I am surprised John is referencing the economy. Onahia worked in government for many years, and you tell me, Onapito, whether they, in fact, what are U.S.'s economic interests in this region? Just tell me that.
Economic gains are essential to the U.S., and that's one of the reasons it actually promotes stability. Because in regions and countries where it has stability, it's easier for them to advance their economic interest. Economic interests are always at the forefront of U.S. foreign policy. Do your homework. Read history.
Jesus. Okay. I think that you must be smoking something.
We should switch on to a topic to avoid getting intoxicated by this product. People are smoking around this room.
A listener has been asking us to discuss, to make some comments on Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam. Maybe that's where I should be going. But Ona, your views on this same issue. Museveni's leverage with the West.
I don't think it's important whether the president has more or less leverage. It's really about Ugandans, and the president knows it very well. When he came to power, whatever support he got from Gaddafi or who did not really matter. When Ugandans say you have to go, then you could go. So I think the president really focuses on what Ugandans think about him.
He doesn't focus, no. In fact, he doesn't care.
How much Ugandans...
No, he cares.
He can control them. So the West is just a game. I mean, they will hang on with you if you... I mean, look at the situation in Mali.
They will jump
that
to the
guy
right
was
side of
being
history.
heralded as one of the greatest democrats in Africa. But the guy fell, and nobody can understand how. So it really doesn't matter what the outside world thinks. I don't think, apart from people like Gaddafi, who really were taken out in the extremes of Western intervention.
Can you place this in the context of the president's comments to the diplomats?
I told you, for me, it definitely does not want them to
Is he posturing?
comfort to groups
I think just the point is that
opposed to him, but he doesn't believe that they can bring him down.
He's becoming much more cognizant of the fact that the West is getting to know of his own shenanigans, and I think he made it very clear in his own oil speech in Parliament. He said
but
the
West has always known.
No, but I think...
But the situation's getting worse as well.
It's getting worse, and I think Museveni is becoming more alert to it, and I think he's trying to take action in time. I mean, you mentioned that he's a very smart player, and I think it's credit to him, he's trying to tackle it before it gets worse. But I think on the matter of his caring for Ugandans, I don't agree with you. I mean, this week alone, he pardoned the man who killed his own wife by electrocution. I mean, how do you justify that?
Too sure about that. Listen, there's a story for you here in the Observer. We can't be too sure.
I think the most
even that would be dependent on what constituency he was trying to satisfy by pardoning Shamakuki. You know that he pardoned Chris Wakasisi. a few days to an election and a few days out of ignition. When he pardoned Nasur Abdallah, it was also timed to a particular constituency.
Just that case galvanized the women's rights movement in Uganda like no other case in history. I've spoken to the women since.
Yeah, but you see, Rodney.
You need
And I'd wanted that sort of, people call us conspiracy theorists. Like many of these cases in Uganda, a man dies. We had the case of the Kiyinji case. We had this one here in Namuongo of this lady, Draru. Many of things, the way these governments are run, the police, the judiciary, and you can never really establish that.
Why hasn't he pardoned the chicken thief?
Pardon?
Why hasn't he pardoned the chicken thief?
No.
Please answer my question.
Because the time of the chicken thief will come.
No, when it come, listen. By the way, I don't want to sound like I'm really upset over this, but in fact, I think it's a discourse to this country that Museveni pardoned a man who killed his wife in the most gruesome way possible. And 12 years down the road, he gets to go and actually smiling to the camera. It's terrible.
No, I think one of the other things that we need to look at, beyond the conspiracy theories that Nicholas is talking about here, is how much does the Asian community contribute to the president's campaign year in, year out?
Yeah.
And who does it serve if you pardon Shamakuki today, 12 years after his wife died?
Payback time.
Yes. What are the calculations?
Because I remember during the trial, quite some very, very prominent Asian businessmen were around Shamakuki.
Exactly.
And you never even know that maybe the wife was killed over some business deals. And
Exactly.
I mean, you can't really tell the whole story.
The real story, I think, for investigative journalists is to go and lift the veil, if they can, on the Presidential Pardons Committee. In fact, they landed Attorney General, rather
Land. Landed or landed?
Land, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, Attorney General.
Could be land.
The ex-Attorney General who resigned his post, the professor of law. This letter was published that, amongst other things, which he didn't think that the AG's seal should have been lifted on, is the work he did on the Presidential Pardons Committee. I don't it up, but at the time I thought that he was trying to give us some sort of sense of direction, that there are things that he had observed on that committee that the public should not know about. And when I saw this case, I was like, well, here's where the trail has become hot again.
Charles,
Yeah.
I don't know how Cookie Sharma came into this debate. I wanted to say just one small
It's an important story.
Yes, an important story. I just wanted to say one last, just make a small point
about this letter.
To Musime Mutebile's letter to Dr. Banks. What you must realize now is that what in Museveni's increase, with the increase in his paranoia, he knows very well that the best way in which you can manage a society is through the economics. You're going to have many of these things coming in. We want to know how did you purchase this and that and the other. There is an investigation for you who comes here and makes noise and say this and that and the other. So you're going to see, because in this business of we shall crush you, chances are high that they are going to start crushing people economically using these sort of excuses. He has already told the Western world that some of you are giving money and
Cash.
not, are giving cash. You're not even sending. That is money laundering. So there are many people whose businesses you will see will being closed down soon.
I am actually
On the
surprised that
pretext
the
of
president
money
says
laundering.
giving cash.
Running a sound economy actually gives you leverage with international countries, and it gives you legitimacy domestically. You can never underestimate the power of running a fine-tuned economy.
Well, I'm surprised that the president calls giving cash money laundering, because he's the master of giving envelopes. So I wonder where the envelopes fit into this.
I think, Charles,
Angelo, you're having another discussion on the outside, and our listeners can't pick it from the microphone. Can you make your point on the microphone?
I just don't think you want to admit it.
Make your point on the microphone.
No. What you have to know about Gaddafi, by the way, what you have to know about Gaddafi, what brought his problem, let me put it very basically. These people, the National Transition Council, those traitors there, what they did to the West, and it supports John's theory, is that if you went, there's a report, it's on the internet, they went to most of these countries and said, we can give you a better deal if you kick that man out. just that.
Well, I think Gaddafi's problem was that he had stayed for 42 years.
All allies in
and still
the arena of international politics are convenient. And the best way to actually have leverage is not just through military power, but through economic power and other means.
We veered off the discussion. Let's take the break and come back to the actual discussion.
It's hot, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hot Seat in association with Nile Gold.